Chapter 1. Born into everything. You were born into a family worth billions of dollars. Not millions, billions. Before you even took your first steps, your future was already secured. You grew up in a mansion so large that guests often got lost trying to find the dining room. Every morning, a driver waited outside to take you wherever you needed to go. Private schools, private jets, vacation homes around the world. If you wanted something, it appeared. If something broke, it was replaced. If a problem came up, someone else handled it. You never had to worry about rent. You never had to worry about food. You never had to worry about money. Your life was comfortable in every possible way. As a child, it felt amazing. You thought this was what happiness looked like. You thought everyone dreamed of living the life you were living. But as the years passed, something strange began to happen. The excitement slowly disappeared. The luxury cars stopped feeling special. The expensive vacations became normal. The giant birthday parties felt routine. The things most people spent their entire lives chasing had become ordinary to you. And that's when you learned something few people ever talk about. When you have everything, it's surprisingly easy to feel nothing. Chapter 2. The Empty Life. As you got older, the feeling only became stronger. People loved being around you. Or at least that's what it seemed like. But deep down, you started asking yourself a question. Do they like me? Or do they like my money? Whenever you met someone new, they already knew your family's name. They knew the businesses, the investments, the success. Some people treated you like a celebrity before you even spoke. At first, it felt nice. Then, it felt uncomfortable. Because every compliment seemed directed at your family instead of you. Your father built an empire. Your mother was respected everywhere she went. Meanwhile, you felt like you had accomplished nothing. You hadn't earned the mansion. You hadn't built the companies. You hadn't created the fortune. You were simply born into it. One night, while staring at the city lights from your bedroom window, a thought entered your mind. Who am I without all of this? And for the first time in your life, you didn't know the answer. Chapter 3. The Other Side of Town. A few weeks later, you asked your driver to take a different route home. Not through the wealthy neighborhoods, not through the business district. You wanted to see parts of the city you had never visited before. At first, nothing seemed different. Then the scenery slowly changed. Luxury homes became small apartments. Perfect lawns disappeared. Old buildings replaced shiny skyscrapers. You saw people waiting for buses after long shifts. You saw parents carrying groceries home by hand. You saw families living in places smaller than your garage. The more you looked, the more uncomfortable you became. Not because these people scared you, but because you realized how little you understood about their lives. You asked the driver to stop. For the first time, you stepped out and walked through a neighborhood most people in your social circle never visited. You saw kids playing basketball on a cracked court. You saw neighbors sitting on porches talking and laughing together. You saw a small corner store where everyone seemed to know each other by name. And something surprised you. People were smiling. Not all of them. Not every moment. But many of them seemed happier than you. And that didn't make any sense. Chapter 4. Learning what money can't buy. You kept coming back. At first, once a week. Then, several times a week. Eventually, it became part of your routine. The more time you spent there, the more you learned. You met a construction worker working 2 jobs to support his family. You met a single mother doing everything she could to give her children a better future. You met young people with dreams bigger than the opportunities available to them. And yet, despite all their struggles, they had something you didn't. Purpose, community, connection. One evening, you were invited to dinner by a family living in a small apartment. The dining table was crowded. The food was simple. Nothing about the meal was expensive. But everyone was laughing. Everyone was present. Everyone genuinely cared about one another. As you sat there listening to their conversations, you realized something. This family had less money than you spent in a week, yet they seemed richer than you felt. On the drive home, you couldn't stop thinking about it. For years, you had believed wealth was measured by possessions. But these people were teaching you a different lesson. Some of the richest people in the world are poor in purpose, and some of the poorest people in the world are rich in things money can never buy. Chapter 5. The Idea. That night, you couldn't sleep. You walked through your mansion, past rooms you rarely entered, past expensive artwork you barely noticed, past luxuries that no longer impressed you. Eventually, you sat down in your office and stared at a blank notebook. You thought about the families you had met, the children with dreams, the parents working endlessly, the people who simply needed an opportunity. Then a realization hit you. Maybe the money was never the problem. Maybe the problem was how you were using it. For your entire life, wealth had been spent making your life easier. What if it could be used to make other people's lives better? You grabbed a pen and began writing. Scholarships, housing programs, business grants, mentorship opportunities, community centers, job training. The ideas poured onto the page faster than you could write them down. For the first time in years, you felt excited. Chapter 6. True Wealth. The next few years changed everything. Scholarships helped students attend schools they never thought possible. Families moved into safe homes. Small businesses received funding and opened their doors. Young entrepreneurs got opportunities that once seemed out of reach. Slowly, lives began to change. And with every person you helped, something inside you changed too. The emptiness that followed you for years began to disappear. Not because you made more money, not because you bought more things, but because you finally found a purpose greater than yourself. One afternoon, while walking through a community your programs had helped support, you watched children playing in a new park. Parents talked nearby. Local businesses were thriving. People smiled as they passed you. Not because of your family's name, not because of your wealth, but because of the impact you had made. And in that moment, you finally understood what true wealth really is. It's not the size of your mansion. It's not the number in your bank account. It's not the cars you drive or the clothes you wear. True wealth is knowing that someone's life is better because you were here. Because in the end, it's not about how much you have. It's about how much you help. And for the first time in your life, you no longer felt like a billionaire's son. You felt like a man who had finally found his purpose.